Hey everyone, my name is Alex, and I'm one of the three people that worked on Blotch. I would love to show my face, but seeing how I'm pretty disheveled from working to meet the hackathon deadline, I'm sure y'all would prefer to just hear my voice this time around. So, what exactly is Blotch? Well, Blotch is the first fully on-chain social media platform where you can post and interact with content that is not reliant on decentralized alternatives like IPFS or Arrowweave. Now, the name Blotch comes from the idea that basically a work of art, or some revolution or something significant always starts with an insignificant step or a blotch. We wanted to apply this logic to Web3 and believe that Blotch can be the first of many small steps to innovate ICP and elevate it to mainstream adoption. Now, since we wanted to take full advantage of the amazing foundation that ICP has provided for us, we chose to use Motoko instead of Rust, and overall, through taking full advantage of query calls, using dynamic canister creation, as well as a tokenized reporting system, our site is not only unaffected by single canister storage limits, but also empowers users to take content moderation into their own hands. So, why did we create Blotch? Well, we found that there'd be four big issues with current on-chain and Web3 social media. A lot of on-chain sites aren't actually fully on ICP, but rather they use other decentralized tools like IPFS. Now, the fact that it isn't fully on ICP also leads to problematic content issues. For example, harmful content on these sites technically aren't able to be fully removed, with only the link between blockchains actually being severed to display the image. Now, if a social media is on-chain, then it has a lot of issues with the 4 gigabyte canister limit for the whole platform. While this might be fine now since ICP isn't really breaking out into the mainstream yet, this is not a long-term viable solution that is scalable to the masses. Finally, some Web3 platforms also heavily depend on Web2 services, such as users only being able to share media through Web2 platforms like Google Drive or Dropbox. So, how does Blotch not only address these issues but builds on the problem solutions? Well, there are four pillars that we believe make our social media platform truly unique and advantageous. So, first is mass adoption capability due to our scalability. Second is dynamic canister creation, and then there's using query calls to our full advantage. And finally, there's a moderation system that empowers users through tokenization. First, let's talk about scalability and dynamic canister creation, since they pretty much go hand in hand. So what exactly is dynamic canister creation? Well, it's pretty simple. It just means that we create canisters as users register. This allows a lot more content to be stored in our application, unlike most decentralized apps. For example, on Blotch, each user can post roughly 4,000 images. And on top of that, we have a single canister that is solely dedicated to storing the table that assigns users to their respective canisters. Now, since you're not restricted by a single canister to the whole site, Blotch takes full advantage of ICP's low-cost technology and is a long-term solution to storage and user number issues. For example, we calculated that Blotch can have roughly 68 million unique users. Now, let's talk about how we take advantage of query calls in our backend. So traditionally, a single canister serves as a sort of middleman for the front-end and back-end communication while the user browses the platform. However, in Blotch, the front-end directly interacts with several canisters at once, and this spreads the usage loads across our backend and mitigates any inter-canister query calls. This allows our front-end to utilize very few update calls, which in turn provides a fluid and responsive user experience. Finally, let's break down how we plan to implement content moderation. So our token, which you can see on the left here, is also called a blotch, and the three-step process for content moderation is detailed here. So first, users are going to submit reports of potentially problematic content by staking a fixed number of blotches. Then, independent moderators will review these flag posts every so often or periodically, and finally, if the content is actually found to be in violations of TOS, then it's going to be removed, and the users that successfully reported it are going to be given back their initial blotches as well as additional blotches for compensation. Now, this image on the right here is what we plan for our moderator panel to look like. We plan for it to be pretty comprehensive and easy to use for all our independent moderators. Now, we believe that Blotch's reporting system is not only good at removing problematic content, but also providing real power to the users and giving meaning to the report button, which nowadays is seen as largely meaningless on big platforms like YouTube or Instagram. On top of that, since you have to give up a number of tokens to report a post, this is going to incentivize truthful reporting and not just spam reports that waste time to try and game the token system. Now Shreyas will walk through all these components and how they come together and how the site actually looks and runs.
Hey everyone, I'm Shreyas, and I'll run you through Blotch to show you some of its current capabilities. So the first thing you want to do is go to blotch.one. That's the name of our website. And once you do this, you'll see that you have to verify with internet identity to begin using Blotch. So I've already got an anchor, so I'll just paste that in and start my session. Now, internet identity will ask you to verify with your fingerprint or your USB key. And once internet identity has confirmed you, you'll be loaded back into Blotch's webpage. Now, if this is your first time accessing Blotch, you'll be loaded with the default user values. I'm going to go ahead and change those values right now by pressing the plus button. Now, the username that I'm going to give myself is the bad guy, and I can also give myself a profile image, something like this. And then I can also give myself a quick bio. Awesome. I'll press submit, and then my profile information will update. Great. The next thing I'm going to do is create my first post. I can select an image for my post, and I can also add a caption for it. Once I press the share button, my post will be shared with the whole world. One thing to notice is that I used 10 blotches to share an image, and this happens every time you post an image. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the featured page. Now, the featured page is essentially like a list of the trending posts that are relevant in the community at the time. I can go to a post, um, I can go ahead and like it, and oh, this is my friend Alex's profile, so I'll go ahead and follow him. Hopefully he follows me back. I can also give a comment to the post, maybe something like, and I can press comment. Once I do that, you'll notice that eventually the following button updates so that it shows that I'm following my friend and my comment gets posted. The next thing I'm going to do is report a post. So I see this post, and this is just to demonstrate the report functionality. I can select a reason, and I can also type some more information. Once I press the submit button, my report has been submitted. Now, I'll go back to the home page to show you a couple of new things that should have appeared. For one, you'll notice that my amount of blotches went down from 90 to 85, and that's because every time you report something, you stake 5 blotches in reporting it. Another thing you'll notice is that I have a suggested toolbar pop up on the right-hand side, and this suggests a couple of profiles for me to follow that my current friends are following. So I can go ahead and follow a couple of these profiles. And now, when I go to the following page, I should be able to see a couple of their posts pop up on my screen. Hey, that's pretty cool. I see a couple of their posts. Now, I can also show you guys that if I go to a certain post and I go ahead and like it, I can then view my liked posts tab, and I'll be able to see a collection of all the posts that I've liked here. And here's one post that I've liked, and here's the other post that I've liked. The last thing I'll do is search for a couple of new people to follow. So maybe I'll follow someone who likes, I don't know, trumpets. And once I search up trumpet, I'll see a couple of related profiles. And oh, this one's called Trumpet Red. I'll go ahead and follow him. And once I do that, it'll update in a second to show that I'm following him. And that's great. That's what a user experience looks like. Alex will now finish up the rest of the presentation.